Good afternoon, mortal humans. How many of you, at one time or another, dreamed of being a superhero? All right, yes. Okay, now show of hands. How many of you are going to live forever? Okay, not as many. All right. Unfortunately, yes, every person is going to die one day, but astoundingly, every person also has the potential to be a superhero. And the best part is, it takes almost no effort to earn your proverbial cape. Let me toss you a truth bomb. Every day, 20 people die waiting for an organ transplant. And although the majority of Canadians say they're in support of organ donation, only a small percentage have officially registered to be deceased donors. The need continues to grow, and the wait list keeps getting longer. In fact, we are 5 times more likely to require a transplant than we are to be a donor. And yet, one single organ donor can save up to 8 lives, and with tissue donation, they can change up to 75 more. Saving and improving 83 lives? Guys, that's superhero status. In Canada, the way we register as organ donors is known as an opt-in system. This literally means we must opt in order to donate. This allows us to have a say in what happens to our bodies, much like if we want to be buried or cremated or grow into a tree or shot into space or compressed into a diamond. Ultimately, the choice to follow any of our wishes falls to our next of kin. So if you want to be a tree, they really need to know about it. Other countries operate using an opt-out system where where consent is presumed unless wishes not to are made known. Spain is now the leading country for organ donation on the planet, with only 10 to 15% of families denying transplant consent. But this isn't only due to the opt-out method. Family consultations and the National Transplant Organization database both contribute to the high donor rate. So how do we appeal to the citizens of an opt-in country to register as organ donors? Well, in 2010, Israel chose to appeal to the self-interest of their people by giving recipient priority to live donors, relatives of deceased donors, and those that had long been registered as organ donors. So, knowing our statistic of being 5 times as likely to need one than to give one, you can imagine how appealing that would be. Other countries, like Canada, prefer to appeal to the altruistic nature of humanity, seeing it as the ultimate gift or sacrifice. Some people, like me, have the most fun equating it with being a superhero. Ontario has overwhelming support of organ and tissue donation, but only 33% of us have made our wishes known on the provincial online registry. That means that when the time comes and the decision is left up to the family in mourning, when approached with the question of donation, only 4 out of 10 families agree when the wishes of their loved one were not made known. But when approached with confirmation of registration and with the wishes known to the family, that number more than doubles to 9 out of 10. The number of lives that can be saved by registering and discussing organ donation with our loved ones increases immensely. So what is stopping us from registering and having this discussion? Well, death is a scary and uncomfortable topic. Although, to be fair, me standing in front of you right now, speaking at this very moment, likely terrifies more of us than death does. I know it does me. All right, I'm ready for the vat of spiders. I'm kidding, but the truth is, these things are commonly feared more than death itself. And yet, we're faced with them much more frequently in our lifetimes than our own demise, one would hope. There's also some myths, like religious opposition. The truth is, all major religions actually support organ donation as a wonderful life-saving gift. Some people believe that their age is a factor, or their medical condition, or even their sexual orientation. Thankfully, in Canada, none of these are blocks to becoming a donor. Doctors can only determine what is viable for transplant when our time is up. In fact, the oldest organ donor was 92 years old, and the oldest tissue donor to date was 107. It's pretty incredible. Our bodies have so much more value than we give them credit for. Give yourself a hug. These are remarkable biological machines. Quite a few people in Ontario believe that they're already registered donors because they carry a paper card in their wallet that they've signed. If this is you, unfortunately, your cape will have to stay at the dry cleaners until you officially register online. Ontario is slowly improving our numbers over time. Since 2003, 17,639 patients were saved by life-saving organ transplants. Last year, 2,413 heroes donated tissue, which is an increase of 85% over the last decade. Wait time for a heart dropped from 214 days in 2017 to 120 days. These are literal life and death timelines for those on the wait list. 195 patients received lungs last year, which is a massive 75% increase over the last 5 years. There were 333 deceased organ donor heroes and a total of 1,236 organ transplants. And 252,581 new registered organ and tissue donors in Ontario, which brings our number up to 4.2 million out of an eligible 12.5 million. I know we can do better because slowly but surely we are. But there's a long road ahead. There are currently 1,675 people in Ontario waiting for an organ transplant. There are 4,500 in need Canada-wide, and there's an estimated 1,600 that will be added this year. And I know it seems like these numbers should balance out, with millions registered and only 1,675 on the wait list. That should cover it, right? Unfortunately, another hurdle for those on the wait list is that the factors for actually donating have to fall in our favor. In most of Canada, to be a deceased donor, a person needs to be in hospital, most often in ICU, surviving with the assistance of a ventilator, and determined by doctors to be neurologically brain dead or facing cardiocirculatory death. To give you an idea of how infrequently these perfect circumstances occur, let's look at some statistics from 2015. There was an estimated 267,000 deaths in Canada. Around 150,000 happened to die in hospital. Of those, 5,236 filled the criteria to be potential organ donors. And of those, 651 became actual donors. Yeah, you heard right. Out of 267,000 deaths, 651 filled that criteria and had consent to donate. I believe we can have a world of superheroes beginning right here, right now. How to be a superhero in 4 easy steps. Number 1, grab your Ontario health card. Number 2, go to beadonor.ca and check your registration. Number 3, tell everyone, I am an organ and tissue donor. Tell your family, ask them what they want for themselves. Show them how easy it is to register. Then tell your neighbor when you're picking up the paper in the morning. Then tell your coworkers at the water cooler or in a mass email to the whole company. Blast social media with this decision. This is not the type of superhero that needs a secret identity. Brag. Seriously, brag about this amazing choice you've made that's going to save lives. Then, humbly, let them know that they too can be a superhero. Because who wouldn't want this flashy cape? Just sharing this information and having this discussion is an act of heroics. The more we normalize this topic, the more donors will register and more lives will be saved. There's step 4, superhero pose. There's also the option of becoming a living donor. I was able to earn my CAPE 6 years ago when I anonymously donated almost 70% of my liver to a person I only know as small adult. I will never know more about them, and I'm okay with that. Donating a portion of liver required fundraising for 3 months recovery. Fundraising was tough. I have a tendency to struggle when it comes to asking for help, but thanks to some phenomenal friends, I had several communities come together, and they raised enough funds for me to recover without worry. I decided I would use my platform to encourage others to register as donors. Because if I can do it when I'm alive, we can all do it when we're not. Becoming a live donor took a year of thorough mental and physical tests. I was warned about the large scar I would have and how it could affect my relationships if my partner found it unattractive. I'm sorry, if a guy is put off by a line on my body that's the result of saving someone's life, that just tells me this is someone I should have swiped left on. I was even told that the scar could affect my job if I were a model. Oddly specific and not my vocation. It didn't matter. Nothing was going to deter me from being a donor. After surgery, I was informed that the recipient did extraordinarily well, and I received a card from them. It was surreal reading how I was able to change their life. I still have no words to describe what that feels like. 3 months later, both of us had fully regenerated livers. You know, it's funny, I had so many warnings that I would be permanently disfigured by the scar, that no one considered how much this mark on my body would mean to me. It's tangible proof that I've given life to another human being. I don't get to talk to them or see how they're doing. I don't know if I've stood behind them in a line or held a door for them, or if I yelled at them for cutting me off in traffic. I don't know if they're in this room right now. All I have is my scar. That's my gift. That's what I got to take home as a keepsake. I was told that I would feel self-conscious or insecure about this indelible change to my body, that I would most certainly experience some regret because of this imperfection. But no one warned me that catching a glimpse of it in the mirror would bring tears to my eyes and fill my heart with joy. They didn't warn me that it would become more important to me than all of my possessions, and that it would be one of my most favorite features. And they absolutely didn't warn me that it would actually lead to modeling. This scar is my superhero story, written indefinitely on my body, and I love it. I truly didn't expect my life to drastically change from this experience. It's interesting when you try to anonymously give of yourself, how much you inescapably receive in return. I have met some of the most incredible people, and I get to be involved in awareness campaigns and share my experience. And I don't know if you know this, but I'm speaking at TEDxOrillia. Yeah, I know. I've even been called a hero, which I found odd initially. I just got to have this really cool experience, and really awesome things happen because of it. How am I a hero? I always thought being a hero had to be being a martyr, or like your life had to get harder because of it. But then I realized, saving a life, yeah, that's what heroes do. And that's what I invite all of you to do. You don't have to be a living donor, but by simply checking that you're registered and telling all who will listen, the ripple effect of those words will without any doubt save multiple lives and make you a superhero. As the wise poet Ice Cube once said, You better check yourself before you wreck yourself. Thank you.